Dead bedroom after infidelity. Infidelity is traumatizing. And if that's what's happened to you, you definitely want to stay with us and hang with us. If you are the person it was done to or the person who did it, this is going to help you a lot. If you have yet to subscribe to our channel, please do that. And if you have any questions, hit the box. Infidelity affects everything in someone's life. It affects them financially, past, present, and future, spiritually, their beliefs, emotionally, they're all over the place. Our research shows that many of the women, and we know men as well, go through PTSD if their spouse has been unfaithful. And I'm talking about, thought intrusions, difficulty sleeping, almost sometimes panic attacks, not wanting to go to certain places or being triggered by things, and all of that. Depression is real and amplified. And so sexuality can hugely be impacted. Now, research kind of goes both ways on this. So I think it's somewhat individual. Some men and women, they want to reestablish their marriage, and so they go to hypersexual. Maybe they've been having sex once or twice a week, but now they're having sex, 7 times a week. And they do that for months, and then it goes slowly back to what it was because they're trying to re-engage in the marriage. But that's hypersexuality. The other person can go to hyposexuality, which is kind of what you're experiencing as dead bed after infidelity, because there is no interest in sexuality. There's no interest in opening up my heart, my spirit, my soul, and my body to you, whether it's a man or a woman, because I don't trust you. And that's going to be one of the things that's going to be resolved for sex to be maybe embraced by that person. Now, in our book, Partner Betrayal Trauma, we do a lot of research there. It was a research project with women who've experienced infidelity. But in there, they did show that sexuality was impacted significantly. Another thing that is impacted is something called intimacy anorexia. Men and women who experience infidelity can show up with more symptoms of intimacy anorexia after the infidelity is known. And the way you separate that is if those symptoms are afterwards or if they were before. Someone would be intimacy anorexic throughout the whole marriage, and that might be creating pain in the marriage. So let me quickly go through that. If you've never heard that term before, just go on YouTube, intimacy anorexia, and you'll find lots of our tapes on that. There's also a website called intimacyanorexia.com. and lots of stuff for the intimacy anorexic and the spouse to heal. But quick characteristics: they're too busy for you. They blame you for all the problems in the relationship. They withhold love, especially the way you like it. They withhold spiritually. They withhold emotionally. They withhold sexually by either not having sex or being disconnected during sex. And that would have gone on for years. Unwilling and able to share their feelings with you. Having ongoing criticism with you, or ungrounded criticism, using anger or silence as a way to control you. And sometimes they control our money, but if you're married to an intimacy anorexic, you feel married and alone, and that can go on for decades, okay? If that was going on before the infidelity, then it's its own thing. If it's happening as a result of infidelity, it's a result of trauma. I'm traumatized, I don't feel safe, so I'm pulling back, okay? And that could be misunderstood. So that's how you separate that out. Now, the deadbed syndrome, it doesn't have to last forever, but there also could be that during the marriage, if sex was not a positive experience for someone, we weren't looking each other in the eyes, there was no light on, there was no nurturing conversation, we were alone during sex, sex was a negative reinforcement for one person, then there's not going to be a whole lot of desire after infidelity to have something that wasn't good to start with. So I would definitely get the book, Upgrade Your Sex Life, Learn Your Sexual Expressions, and be able to do that. Now, if it's a result of trauma, the man or woman is going to do really well to deal with the trauma. And you can come to our office and do, 5-day intensive. That can be really, really helpful. We've been dealing with infidelity for almost 40 years. We know what we're doing. And the counselors are certified in Partner Betrayal Trauma. So you won't be blamed for the infidelity. You can heal from the trauma. And also in our building, we have Neuromodulation, which we have found works incredibly to help the brain get better. Because when infidelity happens, it's like being hit by an 18-wheeler. It's trauma. I mean, it's just as bad as seeing your spouse being hit by a car and, they're bleeding and their body parts are damaged and they're bruised and they can barely move, they're disoriented. That's what it really looks like emotionally. They are not themselves and their brain is not the same. And there's no amount of counseling that can rework that. But the neuromodulation does miracles. Usually by Wednesday, I can see a huge difference in their eyes and the way they process, they're back to the neuroplasticity they had before the trauma, instead of being in flight or fight or in freeze. That's not where you want to be after trauma. And that can be a major player in why there is dead bed in your situation. Now, dead bed syndrome doesn't have to last forever, but it does need to be resolved. One of the key issues that I have seen for women and men is this issue called trust. So I want to talk about that lastly. And that is, there's a slow way and a fast way to reestablish trust after infidelity. Because if you've been cheated on, you no longer know what's real. And the person who's telling you the story is not someone you trust because they lie. They lied to cover up their secret, whether it was 1 people or 25 people. And you now question everything about your marriage. When did it start? When did it stop? How long did it go? Did you was this a romantic relationship? Were you just using them for sex? Was it prostitutes? Was it other people of the same gender? Like, all these questions come up. And so, of course, if I have all these questions in my heart, and you're saying, oh, open yourself to me, I want to be sexual with you, make love to you. They're like, no way, I don't even know who you are. And I can tell you, some couples get really stuck there, okay? And if there's been a sexual addiction related to pornography and other findings, okay, you definitely are going to have to address those issues. But let's talk about trust as far as infidelity. And there's a great video we called Sex After Recovery. If you do have sexual addiction, that's a great 3-hour training on all that. But trust, the long way, 3 to 5 years, and you may trust that person a larger percentage. The short way is pretty instant. What you do is and you can do this in my office, or you can find someone locally, but if you find someone locally, make sure that they're qualified to help you. And that is a polygrapher. And if you're doing it locally, I would call 3 or 4 criminal attorneys, find out who they use, because that's probably a viable person. If it's in my office, don't worry about that. We've already cleared that. Now, and you ask the questions, when did it start? When did it stop? How many people? So, because for the person who's committed to infidelity, sometimes they get caught on one, but there's actually 4 or 5 or 6 or 25 or 50 or even 100 more that's not being discussed. And that person still has a secret. So they're not able to be really intimate because there's still secrets. And so you can find out the number, and you can find out when it stopped. You can find out if they're still in any communication in any format with anyone. And in our office, all the therapists and coaches know how to set the questions up for polygraphs. You can do about 6 questions. And you can establish trust, first of all, by first telling the truth. Because I can tell you 50% of the people who take polygraphs still lie when they come to my office. But if they've already told the truth, it verifies that they're honest, and they move forward from that. And then they take one for the first year, once a quarter, to verify there's not any new information. Now, even the symbolism of you being willing to do that says you're working on it, you're trying, and you're trying to protect me instead of trying to protect your secrets. A person who won't take a polygraph is protecting their secrets, which intuitively the spouse knows there's more, which says to them, I want to have sex with you, but I don't want you to necessarily trust me. And the other person saying, I want to trust you so I can have sex with you. And so they're at this impasse that can be solved really quickly. It'll be painful to find out the truth, but the truth will set you free. It won't always be fun, but not telling the truth is a path much harder for the spouse to travel. And it's like, I shot you with the bullet of infidelity. Now I want you to climb the mountain of trust without me paying the bill for me breaking the trust. When I grew up, if you threw a baseball into someone's window, you paid for the window. If you broke the trust with infidelity, being willing to take a polygraph is an easy request. And yes, your secrets will be known, but if you're not planning to go back to those secrets, you don't need those secrets, whether it's about pornography, masturbation, sex with others, strippers, etc. You can get rid of those secrets, which makes you freer and able to actually heal. Because you don't heal with big secrets like that. And your spouse's intuition won't settle. They'll just say there's something not right. I've done, at least 1,000 polygraphs, if not more. And when a spouse's intuition is, Dr. Weiss, I just don't feel I know everything, about 90% of those people are right. So that's another way that you can get rid of dead bed syndrome, is by establishing trust, the easy way for the person who was hurt. It might be hard for the perpetrator of the infidelity, but for the person who's experienced it, that would be a real blessing for them to be reestablished trust, and it can expedite the ability to be open sexually and re-engage in that full relationship. Well, I hope this has been helpful for you. The Sex After Recovery is a great video. Upgrade Your Sex Life is a great video. Partner Betrayal Trauma, the book, and all that resources, those are great for you. If you want to do counseling, you would feel very safe with people who are certified and trained in this specific area. Call Heart to Heart Counseling Center, 719-278-3708. Because we've helped thousands of men and women who've experienced infidelity be able to regain not only their sexuality, but their marriage, their life, and feel good about themselves again.